So as you guys can see from the length of my hair, it's been a while since I uploaded, 2 weeks to be exact, and in that time, so much has happened, mainly due to the fact that I was in LA for a week for VidCon, and oh my god, the amount of YouTubers I met, the amount of stuff that happened, specifically during each night, is just insane. So many stories to tell, so many stories I can't tell, but one in particular is so crazy that even though it's not the norm for my channel to make these type of videos, I just had to tell you guys. It involves a huge cast of characters including a Cheeto, CZ's World, Zeepsterd, Emma Langvin, Just a Minx, Swell Entertainment, iDubbbz, and even Jesus Christ himself. I'm not joking. I wish I was joking. It's a crazy cast of characters. If I want to stretch the truth a little bit, I could also include YouTubers like Ellis Mark, The Right Opinion, Jay Aubrey, etc. because I did meet them at the movie theater midway through the story, but those people are largely irrelevant to this specific tale. But I do want to briefly say that they were wonderful people to hang out with, and I'm glad I spent time with them on my trip. Alright, so the story starts off on day 2 of VidCon. Cheeto and Zeepsterd are hanging out together at the convention, and prior to getting there, Cheeto gets a little bit more intoxicated than he intended, to the point where it will severely affect him for the rest of the night and the rest of the story. So Cheeto and Zeepsterd, they're pretty big creators, but not big enough for VidCon to roll out the red carpet for them. CZ's World, on the other hand, just hit 1 million subscribers. He actually had a party 2 nights prior for hitting 1 million subscribers, which was amazing, super fun. It was the party where someone took the video of Augie getting knocked down in the mosh pit. But regardless, CZ's World had the industry pass at VidCon, which meant he could get into the high-level exclusive parties. So after the convention portion of VidCon was over for that day, CZ's World met up with Cheeto and Zeepsterd to start their escapades of sneaking them into VidCon parties. Surprisingly, the first attempt was actually successful, as CZ just showed his credentials to the security guard at the Hyatt Hotel, where the first high-level creator gathering was taking place, and Zeepsterd and Cheeto were able to quickly follow in behind him. Although the easy entrance was also met with an easy exit, after intoxicated Cheeto attempted to start conversation with another content creator there who goes by the name of Emma Langvin. She was there on a couch with Just a Minx and some other guy, with Zeepsterd and Cheeto sitting across from them. Cheeto attempts to create conversation with her by asking if he's seen her from TikTok before, to which she said she used to do TikTok but not anymore. I was also told that she sounded annoyed or offended when answering that question. So Cheeto has the brilliant idea to respond, "Oh sorry, did I dead name you?" To which Emma then responds, "Do you think I'm trans?" And Minx follows up by saying, "Are you guys even supposed to be here?" Obviously noticing that Zeep and Cheeto don't have the proper badges to be in there. At that point, everyone disperses. Cheeto and Zeep, knowing they fucked up, tried to slink away, while Emma and Minx's group go up to the security guards to get them to get kicked out. The guard catches up to the both of them and says, "Guys, it's over. I'm going to have to escort you off the premises." So Zeep, Cheeto, and CZ World end up leaving and then meet up with me and a bunch of other YouTubers at a sushi restaurant. We talk and catch up for a bit. Cheeto and ZZ World tell us the story of what happened, and I decide to join them to get into more parties, which is where the real fun of the story begins. At least for me, because I lived that part. So we arrive right outside the House of Blues. There are 2 parties going on, one at the higher level hosted by Amazon Prime, which was for adults only, and requires higher credentials than the party below it, which is the Instagram party, which is 16+. Now, unlike James Charles, we actually wanted to get into the higher level adult party because we weren't really interested in seeing the live grooming session going on in the Instagram party that night. Seriously, other than the fact that 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds could get into the Instagram party, I have no idea why James Charles would choose to go to that one instead of the one above. I mean, he's James Charles, obviously he could get into either of them. But regardless, we first tried to sneak into the Amazon party in the most straightforward and traditional way, which is having one guy with the credentials get in and then the other people follow behind. But unlike the gathering at the Hyatt Hotel, the security here was much more thorough and was stopping to check every guest who went through the line to try and get into the party. So obviously the security people saw that me, Zeep, and Cheeto didn't have the credentials to get in, so we were out of luck. I did almost bullshit my way in by saying I was on the list but got the invite late, so it didn't show up, which luckily for me was actually a thing that was happening to people. but it was taking a long time for the staff to double check, and if they did end up double checking, they would have found that I wasn't supposed to be in there anyway, and I knew Cheeto wasn't in the mindset to get in through the same method, so I decided to say fuck it, as we came up with another way for all of us to get in. ZZ World tried to borrow his friend's badge in order to get another one of us in, but unfortunately with that method, only one other person could get in. So me, Zeep, and Cheeto did rock, paper, scissors to see who would get in, and stupid ass me lost rock, paper, scissors to high out of his mind to Cheeto, because I also was a little high, and just kept picking scissors randomly without thinking about it, while Cheeto kept constantly doing rock without thinking about it, because I guess he wouldn't have to change his hand position, right? I should have caught on to that, but I lost, and Cheeto was the one who was gonna end up getting in, except apparently you also needed a wristband, which is impossible to take off without cutting, so CZ's friend couldn't give that part of his badge to Cheeto, just the lanyard part, and the lanyard part wasn't enough, so we were out of luck again. But ZZ assured us that he would try to find a way to get us into the party once he got in himself. So we waited about like 30 to 40 minutes for him to get into the party, figure out what's going on, and devise a plan. That's the time where we ran into Tro and Jay Aubrey and a bunch of other YouTubers who were going to a movie at an AMC theater right outside the House of Blues. I got to see them earlier and later in the trip, but it was cool seeing them again. Always love talking to those guys. So while we were waiting for CZ to come up with a plan, he texts me, all caps, Emma is here. Now this is important because ever since Cheeto's prior interaction with Emma, he was feeling really guilty, really wanted to say sorry. So as soon as I told Cheeto that Emma was there, he started getting hype as fuck. He was jumping up and down, hugging me, being just hype as fuck to get into this party. He was literally like a child waiting to open his gifts on Christmas Day, which was funny as fuck, but also, if we're trying to sneak into a party, having a hyper intoxicated guy around you isn't exactly helpful, although it was super funny and I wouldn't have it any other way. So we have to wait probably about 20 more minutes for CZ to find a way to get us into the party, and during this time, Cheeto was so impatient. He kept wandering off, saying he was gonna ask random people for their badges literally right outside the line where security guards could see. I told him it was a bad idea. He never ended up doing it, but I can't stress enough how absolutely funny it was trying to keep Cheeto at bay in order for us to successfully get into this party. So after 20 minutes of babysitting, finally, CZ World texts me with a plan to get in. So in order for people to easily get in and out of the party, once you get approved to enter by security, you get this blue band, and unlike the ones I mentioned previously for VidCon, this party-specific band can easily be taken on and off without having to cut it. So CZ was able to get an extra one of these bands, and the plan was to throw this extra band down into the public area off the balcony from the patio area of the Amazon party. But the issue with this is that right under the balcony of the Amazon party was the patio area to the Instagram party. And there's only one small area where the balcony of the Amazon party overlaps with the public area, whereas the rest of it overlaps with the Instagram party. So when CZ threw the band, he needed to throw it in such a way to make sure it wouldn't land into the Instagram party area. And on the first attempt, it almost landed into the public area, then the wind blew and just barely pushed it into the Instagram patio. So at this point, we think we're completely fucked. Until CZ World notices that the band landed behind the couch where one of his friends was sitting at in the Instagram party. His name was Kevin. But it took us a bit to figure that out after the band landed in the Instagram party patio, because me and CZ were trying to communicate on the phone and the music was very loud and it was hard to hear, so it took maybe about like 5 minutes to figure out that we needed to talk to Kevin. But of course, at this point, Cheeto is extremely impatient, still intoxicated, still excited to see Emma, so he's literally like on the ground, on the pavement concrete ground, trying to like reach under the fence and doing all this weird shit right next to a security guard looking at us. He asks what Cheeto is doing, and Cheeto says that he lost his band to the party in that patio and tries to get the security guard to go look for it. But since it didn't land directly on the couch, it was like in between the couch and the tall fence that blocks off the Instagram party from the public area. The security guard couldn't find it and thought that Cheeto was just bullshitting him, wasting his time, which obviously caused him to be a bit suspicious of us. And that put us on a bit of a time limit to actually actually communicate with Kevin and get him to properly find the band and give it to us. Now, the issue with communicating with Kevin through this giant wall is that we can't do it verbally because of the loud music of the area. It's impossible. We have to have visual contact in order for him to notice us. On top of that, CZ World needs to contact Kevin, and there's no guarantee he's going to be looking at his phone. So it took a bit for CZ to get into contact with Kevin. By that time, the security guard was very suspicious of us. So at this point, we had to communicate with Kevin very quickly and accurately. The issue is, the only person tall enough to look over the fence and make visual contact with Kevin is a Cheeto, who was still intoxicated. So I tried to explain the situation to him. I tried to tell him what to say to Kevin. It should have been simple, but because of the situation, a Cheeto had to peek over the fence about 3 to 4 times, which the security guard caught on to and told us to stop doing. And at that point, Kevin had enough and left and didn't really know what was going on, so we were completely out of luck again. And to make matters worse, while all of this was happening, iDubbbz and his wife Aniza passed by and saw us doing all of those shenanigans, so I don't know what they think. They probably didn't think anything of it, but the fact that fucking iDubbbz saw a Cheeto crawling under the fence, trying to reach over the fence, trying to talk to Kevin, all of that shit is just completely hilarious to me. So, Kevin is a dead end. He's gone, the wristband is still there. We need to find a way to get it. So CZ checks the Twitter group chat of everybody that's at VidCon. It's a group chat with about 60 YouTubers, and it's a long shot, but about 5 hours prior, a YouTuber called Swell Entertainment mentioned that she'd be at the Instagram party, so she might be able to get the band for us. So CZ World tells me about this plan and says to send this image to Swell Entertainment. Now, based off these texts CZ sent me, I'm under the assumption that he already DM'd with Swell Entertainment and she knows what's going on. So, after 2 years of not directly messaging her anything, I just sent her this image of the patio with a circle out of nowhere, thinking that CZ World informed her on the situation. But he didn't, so for her, it was completely out of nowhere, and she told me that a while ago she left the party because it wasn't her scene. The next day I saw her and explained the whole story to her, so there's no misunderstandings currently, but the fact that I just messaged her a random photo with no context is just so funny to me. Anyways, that fell through. We waited around for a little while longer, and then CZ World got his hands on another band. He threw it down again. This time we got it, but I was looking up at the band as it was falling, not paying attention to my surroundings, and hit someone's head as I caught it. Luckily, they didn't mind too much. I said sorry. It was a bit of an awkward interaction, but finally, we were able to get into the party. Now, the plan was to have someone take that band, get into the party, and throw it 2 more times to get the other 2 people in. But at this point, we didn't know that was the plan, and we thought only one of us could get in. So at this point in time, we had to choose who would get into the party. And the Cheeto was obviously the most eager to get in, not only because of the Emma situation, but he felt he was owed to get in due to winning the rock, paper, scissors earlier that night. I thought he was the most deserving to get in too, but knowing the state he was in and not knowing the full plan, I felt bad about this, but I took the executive decision to take the band and just go in myself. Meet up with CZ World and see what's going on. If it was only one person that was allowed in, I would have went out, given my band to a Cheeto, and just went home. Because honestly, he wanted to be there the most, and to be honest, I had more fun trying to get in rather than being inside the party itself. But luckily, we were able to reuse the band, throwing it down 2 more times, and get the other 2 people in pretty much flawlessly. So once all 3 of us were in the party, on the balcony, we saw a lot of famous people there, mostly TikTokers that I didn't recognize, but there were a few YouTubers I recognized. For example, I was standing right next to Odd Ones Out, and there was this famous guy from Fiverr who role-played as Jesus, and he was in his full Jesus attire at the party. He actually ended up coming up to us because one of his daughters is a fan of a Cheeto's channel, and we ended up talking for a bit, and then we took a victory photo together at the official photo booth that was set up for the party. So the actual party was pretty chill. We only ended up being there for about an hour because it took almost 2 hours to get us in. I got to talk and meet with Adam McIntyre, Philly Beats You, and the Cheeto finally was able to see Emma again. Although he never approached her, I wasn't there, but according to Zeepsturd and Achido, who did end up seeing Emma again. Emma ended up seeing Achido and giving him a nasty look, which then made Achido change his mind on apologizing, as he didn't like her attitude. But I can't imagine it was pretty satisfying for Achido to be seen by Emma at this high-class exclusive party, after Emma previously got him kicked out of another exclusive function earlier that day. Also, funny side note, at the party, CZ World asked me if I liked the Chainsmokers there, and since I know absolutely nothing about musical artists, I thought he meant that there were people chain smoking on the balcony and he was being sarcastic. But apparently there was a band called the Chainsmokers there, which a lot of people know of, and the fact that they were there and I didn't even know who they were made me feel like I didn't deserve to be at that party even more than I already did, which made it even funnier that I got in. But that's about it for the story. I'm sure Achido has his own version of events to tell on his own channel, so if you want to go and hear that, be sure to subscribe to him. I want to shout out CZ World for being so patient and such a homie for getting us into that party. It took a really long time and he stuck with us, so I appreciate that. As well as Zeepsturd for also sticking with the plan, despite it taking a while, and just being a joy to experience this with. Of course, shout out to Achido. That man's a legend, super fun to hang out with. I think he's a really good guy and I enjoyed hanging out with him a lot, not just during that escapade, but during the entire trip as a whole. He was great. I want to thank you guys so much for listening to the story. I know it's not my typical content, but the story was so wild and unbelievable that I just really wanted to have it definitively archived on my channel so I could show it to other people, and hopefully as a side effect you guys can enjoy it as well. But with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in another video.